My question is for Tush James. Will you apologize to President Trump for wasting millions of dollars and the state of New York for a witch trial? And how does it feel to know that you will be in prison for mortgage fraud?
Thank you for coming. We want to thank him for coming. We respect all opinions. Everybody knows those allegations are baseless. They're discredited. And so we want to thank him.
So as you just heard, Letitia James doing a town hall in New York. One brave New York resident got up and said what everybody's been thinking. Hey, are you going to apologize to the state of New York and to America for everything that you put President Trump through? And how do you feel knowing that you are about to be in prison? Now, in this video, I'm going to show you clips of the evidence that has been coming out day by day, because now the FBI and the DOJ has started the process. They've already filed subpoenas. They've subpoenaed her office. They subpoenaed Letitia James. They're even calling in her employees. And you know why? Because when she committed this fraud, she didn't just sign those documents herself. She actually had her employees from the Attorney General office witness her mortgage fraud docs. And I'm not just talking about just some low-level employee. She had her deputy attorney general as one of the witnesses. So you've got employees of hers that are working in the Attorney General office, all being a part of mortgage fraud. And it is flat out fraud. Now, back in 1983, when Letitia James' father was buying a house, he put down that his daughter was his wife. Why? Because as spouses, they got more favorable rates. Now, with that being 1983, the statute of limitations has already come and went on that. But the residences in question are 2001, a brownstone that she has in Brooklyn, and in 2023. Now, the one in Brooklyn, the brownstone, is a 5-unit brownstone. But her fraud came in because she allegedly, it's not even alleged anymore, the documents are out, she listed it as a 4-unit dwelling. Now, why would she do that? Because in the state of New York, when you have a 5-unit property, it becomes commercial. 4 units, it maintains being residential. Now, why would somebody avoid listing it as it is at 5 and do it for 4? Obviously, because you get more favorable terms and rates when it is a residence, a personal residence, rather than a commercial business that you're going to be generating profits from. The rates are substantially different. So in 2001, she listed her 5-unit Brooklyn brownstone as a 4-unit, and it is not. As a matter of fact, on every piece of documentation since that time and prior, it's been listed as 5 units. There is no piece of documentation anywhere besides what she put that ever puts this unit as 4. It is 5 on the layout, on any appraisals, all of that. So that's number one. The other one was in 2023, where her niece, looking for a home in Norfolk, Virginia, went and applied, and Letitia James went in as a co-signer, or should I say it was her mortgage and the niece was a co-signer. Either which way, Letitia James listed that the home would be her primary residence. And this is in 2023. She literally started the Trump fraud case months after signing this. Now, you might say, why in the world will an attorney general that is about to open up the hornet's nest and investigate the president or the former president at that time of the United States, why would she commit fraud? Well, some people believe it's because at that time, they thought that they had their thumb on Trump and he was going to prison. They had the box on him. They had the New York case. They had the Florida case. They had the Georgia case, and they had the DC case. All 4 of those cases had Trump boxed in. Remember, they were keeping him off the campaign trail because they strategically set all these cases up to start at the same time in 2023 during campaign season. They didn't bring him in 2021 or in 2022. And these were things he allegedly did in 2020. And as far as the Mar-a-Lago property, that was even older than that. So they thought they had him boxed in and they would keep him off the campaign trail. He would lose. So I believe, in my humble opinion, this is all alleged right here, that with Joe Biden being in office at that time, she thought that the Democrats, the American people were stupid. The Democrats would be able to trick everybody, get Joe Biden back in there for another 4 years, swap Kamala out, then have her as the first black woman president, the first woman president, and just really destroy America. But it didn't happen. When Joe put on that horrible display at the debate, he got booted. Kamala got rushed into position. And then all of the full incompetency was exposed, which is why right after President Trump was elected, Letitia James went on a tirade about, oh, I'm standing up and I'm representing. It's because at that moment she knew she effed up. So let's get into this. This first clip I'm gonna share with you is Benny Johnson and Jim Jordan from Congress. And Jim Jordan has been pushing back on them for years, stepping up and representing for President Trump. So let's see what Jim had to say as far as in the situation with Letitia James.
FBI, your take on this, the table is yours. Letitia James officially being charged by the FBI. Your take on this, the table is yours.
Well, yeah, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, she is being charged with the same thing as you said that she alleged President Trump did. And I think that there was like a huge fine that was imposed on the president. I think it was like $300 million, if I remember correctly. And it looks like the underlying issue that she's being charged with is what we got from I think the finance board, or whether this agency. They said that she falsified documents. She said. And she did so to get better terms and a better rate on the loan she was applying for. Here's the bottom line, though, Benny. You can't say your principal residence is in Virginia if you're the Attorney General of New York. It just doesn't work that way. But that's what's alleged that she did. Not to mention, I think on another loan application, she said her father was her husband. And again, I haven't seen the evidence, but there must be something there. The Justice Department wouldn't be proceeding as they are. Again, it's the old principle. The left always accuses us of what they're doing, and that's what it looks like is happened here with the Attorney General from New York.
What should happen to the Attorney General? I mean, you are in very interesting waters here. If found guilty, these are federal crimes. What should happen to Letitia James?
Well, maybe how about a fine of this $300 million like that was levied against President Trump? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the statute actually says. I don't know if there's really strong evidence here. There must be, or the good folks at the Justice Department under Attorney General Bondi and Todd Blanche and Kash Patel at the FBI, there must be something here. They wouldn't be proceeding as they are. If it goes to trial and she's found guilty and what that entails and what kind of sentence, we'll have to wait and see.
If you enjoyed this video, do me a solid, hit that like button, because I'll never ask you for a cash app or a super chat, but you hitting that like button, it really does help the channel. It spreads the information around. And if you aren't subscribed to the Real Politics Podcast, subscribe. And once you do, make sure you hit the notification bell and select all. That way you'll be notified when I upload new videos. You know that there's something there, because Pam Bondi, Cash, they would not put themselves out there of actually sending out subpoenas and going through with this and starting the process. They would have just stepped away from it, and they made it public, knowing that Letitia James is the New York Attorney General, knowing that she's very powerful. And one thing she's doing, she's strategically networking with other attorney generals of blue states. And now they're filing a lawsuit against President Trump over the tariffs, when really it's just a distraction. And she likes to say it's baseless and he just got to the J's. President Trump isn't even the one that found this. His administration didn't found this. It was a guy from the Federal Housing Authority of New York. Now, he might have just got to the J's, but it wasn't the Trump administration. Now, let's check out this report by Newsmax, because they really go more in depth with it. And then when I come back, I'm going to as a matter of fact, before we even get into that clip from Newsmax, let's check out Letitia James. This is really brief because I know it makes people sick to even listen to her speak, but she's on with Jen Psaki. And Jen Psaki, who says she wasn't a part of any propaganda or any cover-up. She doesn't play to the Democrat politics. Let's watch this smooth session.
I have to ask you, I mean, there were reports today that the Justice Department has launched a criminal investigation into real estate transactions that you're involved with. I'm not validating that in any way, but I wanted to just ask you if you've received a formal notice of that at this point.
Now, look how nonchalant she says it, kind of like, I don't really want to ask. She didn't want to have to ask her that. MSDNC, they got their name for a reason. She didn't want to ask her that.
Point.
No, not at all. These allegations, Jen, are baseless. They have been discredited, refuted. There was a letter that was prepared by my attorney that was sent to Pam Bondi, the United States Attorney General. And it's unfortunate that President Trump publicly attacked me a few days ago. And as a result of that, he telegraphed to the Department of Justice and to FBI that I should be targeted. You see, this is nothing more than an extension of his revenge, his retribution. And he finally got up to the J's. And so I stand prepared to respond to these baseless attacks with facts. And we look forward, obviously, to further discussions with the Department of Justice or any other individual who leaked this material.
I do not like this woman because she is just flat out lying. It's not baseless. There's actual documentation. And her attorney is a man named Abby Lowell. And you might have heard that name before. Abby Lowell was the same person who represented Hunter Biden. And there's something else in this video. Wait till you hear who she's getting to pay for her legal fees and how they're going about getting it. It's almost like stealing. Almost. Check this out. But here's what Newsmax had to say about it. And then after this clip, I'm going to show you who's actually paying for her defense.
I did reach out yesterday to Letitia James's spokesperson, and when these allegations first came to light, they did provide a prompt response alleging there was a weaponization of the justice system, some type of political payback. This time, though, her spokesperson has not responded to our requests for a comment. Back to you.
Well, we'll wait for that. Lon Austin, thank you for joining us live there. We do appreciate that. I want to bring in now Amy Robbins. She is here with us on the set. She is the host of the Amy Robbins Show. Amy, good to see you on set. How are you?
Great to see you guys too. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we've covered the civil Trump suit, the trial that went on forever. There were so many, by the way, to keep tally of all the lawfare that we've seen. And now you have this full circle moment of what the AG accused and charged the president, Donald Trump, of. Now she is being indicted by a grand jury, or at least we're seeing subpoenas issued by a grand jury now on the very same charges. What are the odds of that?
It's just irony all around. And I can't help but laugh at where we find ourselves now, because you're sitting here saying this is somebody who ran in 2018 on making promises that she was going to take down Donald Trump. And I don't know if these people just continue to think that they are above the law and that what they do is just never going to get found out. But this should be a really big wake up call to any other Democrats who have some skeletons in their closet that someone's coming from you and it's going to be found out.
Totally agree. She really did go out of her way, by the way, with this case. But that brings me to another New York politician, and that's Eric Adams. He's heading to Donald Trump today, actually.
So Letitia James, like I said, and just a full circle thing. So now she's got the heat from the Trump administration. Subpoenas are out. Indictments are coming. So she's got to pay for her lawyer fees. And I believe as the attorney general of the state, she probably makes about 175, maybe 225 max, right? So how's she going to pay for that? And obviously with co-signers and whatnot being involved, who knows what type of credit she has, if she can borrow the money. I'm sure she don't have a couple of million, because that's what it's going to take to defend herself just laying around. But have no fear. Big Tish James and Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, came up with a foolproof plan as to how they could get her lawyer fees paid for. And they thought that they could do it and nobody would be the wiser. But check this out of who's actually going to be paying for it. The guest on Laura Ingraham and him and her spoke about it, and it just blew me away when Senator Ort, he's a New York State senator, explained to us who and how Letitia James's legal fees are going to be paid for. Check this out.
You're already in the highest tax state. There's any number. We're going to pass a budget, Laura, that's going to be about $255 billion here in New York in the next couple of days, passed, by Democrats in both the Senate Assembly by Governor Hochul. And this is maybe one of the more egregious. That they're going to take $10 million of public money, tax dollars, for private legal defense. Don't forget, this is regardless of whether it's even related to your job. So even if somebody else had a DUI, they could tap into this fund under this law. But this was drawn up expressly for one official, Tish James, to defend, so she can use the tax dollars for her legal defense against the federal government.
Legal slush fund. Yeah, legal slush fund, because
you're already in the highest tax state. There's any number.
So Governor Hochul, they put out a bill, and it just looks like a piece of legislation. But in the piece of legislation, if you read the fine print, it actually establishes a fund where which taxpayer dollars will cover the legal fees of New York politicians. And whether she did something where she was being sued for doing her job as attorney general, somebody that was arrested illegally and they wanted to sue the state, that fund being there for that, I can totally understand that. But for her personal mortgage fraud that she committed before she was even the attorney general, because remember, Letitia James didn't even become attorney general until 2020. She was running and campaigning in 2018 when President Trump was in office. So she wasn't even the AG yet, and she ran on get Trump, get Trump, get Trump. And what she thought was that Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, the Democrats, were going to win. She would be able to, nobody would notice this mortgage fraud. It was at a property in Virginia. Who's going to pay attention to Virginia? And the Democrats would just keep doing what they were doing and being underhanded like they've been underhanded. What she did not foresee is that this MAGA movement, this Trump movement is strong. And outside of Trump and MAGA, what you do in the dark is going to come to the light. And that Federal Housing Authority employee that came across that document had no idea probably that he was going to ignite this firestorm that was going to ripple through the country. And now what we may see is the prosecutor being prosecuted. The way she stared Trump down at trial, now America will get the chance to stare at her. And I'm going to be right there for her with my popcorn watching. I'm sure you are too. And so if you stay in here and you watch this video with me, I really do appreciate it. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, tell me what you think. Most importantly, I want you to be safe and you be great. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.